early September 1993, directors and guests from companies all over the world converged on Hong Kong for an important event. Apart from the quarterly review meeting for the executives, here was an opportunity for guests to see for themselves the largest excavation and reclamation project ever undertaken in history. 6 companies have teamed together to form the Airport Platform Contractors Joint Venture, or APCJV, a multinational partnership responsible for the site formation contract for Hong Kong's new airport. Today, the ferry trip is to a cocktail party aboard the JFJ Danul, the world's largest dredger. As the executives toasted the debut of the vessel in Hong Kong waters, dredging operations went on uninterrupted. Completed in December 1992 and in operation in Hong Kong since August 1993, this 140-meter-long vessel can move nearly 12,000 cubic meters of material at a time and is manned by a crew of 35. Sophisticated electronics enable dredging to be undertaken to within a meter's accuracy. Operating off Chek Kok, the island where the new airport will be built, the JFJ is part of a large fleet of dredgers working here, which currently represents 35% of the world's total commercial fleet. To build an airport platform 6 meters above sea level on a land base of some 1,250 hectares, the APCJV will have to move over 350 million cubic meters of material, all within 41 months. Sand not available locally is brought in by the dredgers and pumped ashore. Rock blasted out of the hills of Chek Kok will form the foundation of the runway and prevent liquefaction in the event of an earthquake. Overall, the task is daunting. The total area to be dredged, excavated and reclaimed is the equivalent of 2,500 soccer fields. The master plan calls for the complete flattening of Chek Kok and the resulting fill material used to extend the landmass some 4.5 kilometers, on which the runways and airport infrastructure will be built. The Nishimatsu Company of Japan was instrumental in putting together the APCJV. Included in the consortium are Costain of the UK, Morrison Knudsen from the US, Chek from the Chinese mainland, Ballas Needham of the Netherlands, and Jan de Nul of Belgium. On a project of such magnitude involving 6 principals and a number of subcontractors, a strict planning and coordination regime is required. For example, there are over 1,400 personnel actively involved in the project, each interdependent upon the performance of others. Timetables have to be rigid enough to ensure on-schedule completion, yet flexible enough to take advantage of any fortuitous circumstance. As the momentum of the project grows, the number of people working on the site will increase to nearly 2,000. The master plan for Chek Kok Airport calls for 2 runways operating 24 hours a day. Consultants had to consider not only aircraft currently in operation, but those proposed for the future. There are already working designs for a new breed of super jumbo, capable of carrying 600 passengers or more. And to cope with this probability, the airport is designed to move 35 million passengers a year as efficiently as possible through the terminal. The estimate for commissioning the first phase of the airport will cost just under $6 billion. A rail link is also planned. Further expansion is also possible, with room to handle 87 million passengers a year by 2040. The site formation contract for Chek Kok was signed by the Provisional Airport Authority and the APCJV in late November 1992. Tendering had been tough. There was just a percentage point between the 2 lowest bids. Within weeks, prefab offices and staff quarters were being erected on site. Contractors' equipment was soon arriving, including 63 CAT dump trucks, most of which required assembly. Tires for the trucks, costing $7,000 each, were stockpiled as wear and tear on a 24-hour-a-day operation was deemed to be high. The $1.16 billion platform contract calls for the moving of some 200 cubic meters of material a minute, with a peak of 350 cubic meters a minute if the project is to be completed on schedule. To help achieve this, some of the largest excavators in the world, both diesel and electric, are in use. The two principal civil works subcontractors, Roche Brothers of Australia and Yamazaki of Japan, brought with them expertise gained on other massive projects, including Kansai Airport platform in Japan. The fleet of Model 785 CAT trucks, each with a capacity of 150 tons, will reclaim more than 700 hectares of land from the sea and dump enough rock to form a 13-kilometer-long seawall. All marine works are scheduled to be completed by early 1996 and have been subcontracted to the Chek Marine Joint Venture, which consists of Ballast Needham Dredging, Jan de Nul Dredging, Boskalis International and Ham Dredging and Marine Contractors. Equipment includes 18 trailer suction hopper dredgers, 7 grab dredgers, 60 barges and 4 cutter suction dredgers. Part of the contract calls for flattening the two Brothers Islands to within 6 meters of sea level, as they were obstacles to the landing approach. Chek, the China Harbour Engineering Company from the mainland, is responsible for this part of the contract. Because of the tight work schedule and a 24-hour-a-day operation, drivers of the trucks and some of the management staff are housed on site. There are also a number of canteens in operation that offer cuisines to satisfy a variety of tastes. These services have been subcontracted out and standards are high. A mail office has been set up which ensures the multitude of inward and outward bound documents and letters, as well as ship's mail, is all processed promptly and efficiently. The dredger crews work 72 days on and then have 24 days off, giving them time to return to Europe. All in all, there are over 500 ship's personnel moving between Europe and Hong Kong on a regular basis. Some employees are permanently housed in apartments in the new territories, their homes offering every comfort during their stint away from Europe. A Dutch primary school and kindergarten has been established in Chuen Mun, enabling the children to be taught in their native tongue.
Uiteindelijk in Engeland aangekomen en ik vond het allemaal zo ontzettend spannend, want het was voor het eerst tussen zo'n grote onderneming zelf.
In addition, a clinic has been set up with a medical officer from the Netherlands in attendance. Housewives new to Hong Kong have quickly adapted to shopping for the many delicious Chinese fruits and vegetables available in the local markets. As well as locally hired craft, 2 new catamarans, custom designed and built in New Zealand, were commissioned to ferry passengers to and from Central, Tuen Mun, Chuen Wan and Chek Lap Kok. Included in the fleet of dredgers is the Lelystad, with a hopper capacity of some 10,000 cubic meters. Other vessels include the Barent Zanen, which can carry 8,000 cubic meters. The Korenaut, which can carry 2,500 cubic meters. The Regal Star, which can carry 6,000 cubic meters. And the Geopotis 15, which can carry 7,000 cubic meters. The Volvox Hansa is typical of the general class of vessel operating off Chek Lap Kok. With its electronic positioning devices, the Volvox's dredging and dumping is extremely accurate. After taking on a load of mud, the Volvox heads off to one or more of the dump areas specified by the Environmental Protection Department, where the load is discharged. Typically, 4 round trips are possible in a 24-hour period, and a ship of this size can move 25,000 cubic meters of mud a day. In areas where dredging is nearly complete and the water shallow, a technique called rainbowing is sometimes used to discharge sand. Cutter suction dredges are generally smaller than the trailers and therefore can work in shallow water. Because of the small size of these vessels, the crews are generally accommodated ashore. For those accommodated aboard the trailer suction hopper dredges, facilities are excellent. Food and cooking is home style and the atmosphere relaxed. To monitor dredging progress, the project has 18 surveyors and engineers to ensure that dredging is carried out according to specification. Once in a while there's a break in the action, as on this hot summer day when the temperature reached 35 degrees Celsius. All the drivers took time off for some publicity pictures. Then it was back to work. To keep abreast of maintenance and repairs on the cat trucks and excavators, welding and repair workshops have been erected on site. Most spare parts are stocked, and any major repair, including engine overhauls, can be undertaken. Blasting to loosen material for excavation on Chek cock is a precise exercise. Everything is carefully planned beforehand, and drill holes are accurate to within a few millimeters. Typically, a blast will provide up to 50,000 cubic meters of shot rock for the excavators. In the interests of safety, ANFO, a fuel oil fertilizer mix supplied by Dino Hutchison Explosives, is used. This blast represents 50 tons of explosive. To demonstrate the advance of the reclamation progress, photographs taken at 3 monthly intervals from the same vantage points show the rapidly changing landscape. When APCJV started work in January 1993, some basic civil and marine works had already been completed. This included a navigation channel, some dredging around the western side of the island, and a basic road infrastructure. Demudding of the sea was the first order, this being undertaken simultaneously with the reclamation work which was advancing westwards. By the end of the year, the civils had moved nearly 37 million cubic meters of rock and sand, and the marine section 100 million cubic meters of mud and sand. To celebrate this, the marine section held a ceremony which also coincided with the completion of their on-site offices. Taoist priests presided over the event, which included evoking spiritual entities to ensure good feng shui. There were plenty of firecrackers to chase away evil spirits. A large number of roast pigs were sacrificed. Paper boats were set afloat, evoking the blessing of Tin Hao, the goddess of the sea and patron to sailors and fishermen. Hell money was burnt and rice scattered on the sea. With all this done correctly, the venture will undoubtedly prove both safe and profitable. As the year drew to a close, a Christmas tree was placed on one of the last remaining hills of Chek Lapcock for a Christmas card photograph. While there is still a long way to go, 1993 in general has been a good year for the joint venture and has demonstrated that with careful planning and forethought, a project of this magnitude can be brought in on time and within budget.